Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through my tips from round 20 as well as going through and tipping for round 21 of the AFL season in 2024. So quickly just recapping, in round 20 I did get a 7 out of 9, top 8%, which brings me up to a total of 113 tips. I don't know how many it's out of, I lose count. And a rank of 68,649. I can actually do the maths for you, how many games I've... they've all played, 19 games. 19 times 9 is 171 tips, and I'm at 113. I don't think that's too bad of a number, to be honest with you. So, starting the round, I said Carlton to beat Port by 24. I did say on my Twitter, which is a reason why you should follow it, that... with Harry Mackay's late scratch, I thought Port were a really good chance in this game. I'm pretty sure in the video I did also say that Port were a decent enough chance in this game as well, just because they did end up, they did end up winning by 14 points, but I thought that they were a pretty good shout with their midfield. I'm pretty sure I remember saying. So I think they were a really good shout again against Sydney, and we'll get into that later. North against Geelong. I said Geelong by 26. They ended up winning by 40. That was pretty much what was going to happen. Brisbane against Gold Coast. I was really proud about this tip. I said Brisbane by 20. They went up winning by 28. So pretty good tip there. I think some people thought Gold Coast were actually still going to win at home, but they didn't. Then another tip I was really proud about was St Kilda's absolute smoking of Essendon. St Kilda ended up winning by 53 points. I tipped them by 7, but I thought that they'd have the job done against Essendon, and they just did. They just smoked them in the end. And then you have Melbourne against GWS. I said GWS by 15, and Melbourne actually surprised me. I think Max Gawn's influence is so huge on that Melbourne midfield that they end up getting close just on the back of him just being in there. But yeah, they ended up winning by 2. I had them by 15, 13 points off there. Then Fremantle, I had them winning by 45. They ended up winning by 35. So I needed them to score 120 or restrict West Coast to 65. But they ended up winning by 35, which was a good one in the end there. So now we move on to the Sunday games here, and Collingwood against Richmond. I said Collingwood by 34. They ended up winning by 26, so it was pretty good there. I'm pretty sure Richmond also kicked a late goal as well, which made it that margin in the end of 26 points, but that was a pretty good tip. Then my probable worst tip of the round, completely worst tip of the round, I said Sydney by 12. They ended up losing by 39, and they're on a slippery slope at the moment. Western Bulldogs tools just absolutely dominated us, and fair play to them. Jamara and Sam Darcy and Aaron Norton, they're just a 1-2-3 punch, and we just didn't have the tools to go with them. That's probably one of the areas that we've struggled with for 2 or 3 years now, and we don't really have a good backup, a good 4th or 5th tool to come in to really play that role, and that's where we've really struggled a bit in recent times. And then you've got Adelaide against Hawthorn. I said Hawthorn by 23. I thought they were going to smoke them, and they ended up doing so by 66 points. It was actually pretty close at quarter time. I think Adelaide were actually ahead, but then Hawthorn just smoked them in the second, third, and fourth quarter. So that was the round's tips there. Now we move on to the round 21 tips. First up, you've got Western Bulldogs against Melbourne. Western Bulldogs, massive favourites. Melbourne, I just want to check the lineups for a second here. Let me just quickly get the lineups here, as this game is the first game of the round. You have Howes, Sparrow, and Tholstrop in for Windsor, Billings, and Laurie. I don't know if that necessarily makes them stronger. Melbourne lost to GWS. Western Bulldogs are on a massive run. So this is totally going to be me tipping the form team in Western Bulldogs by, I think, 19 points, and then I just think that they could easily lose this, because what am I now? I am like something, let me just quickly bring this up here. I'm like 8 of 19 for tips this round. Sorry, not this round, again, for the Bulldogs this season. Sorry, I keep on muddling my words in videos this week. But yeah, Western Bulldogs by 19 against the Melbourne Demons. Then you've got Gold Coast. Are they actually going to win away from home? And I'm probably going to tip West Coast. Sorry, not West Coast. I'm going to tip Gold Coast, not West Coast, Gold Coast. A slight little fumble there, but I'm going to tip Gold Coast in this game by, I think, 11 points. I just don't know if West Coast have it in them at the moment. I know that they won't have travelled, but, and I know Gold Coast are horrific travellers, but also West Coast look horrific at the moment. Again, they're in a downward spiral. North against Richmond. I think I'm going to back North in that game there, just because I think that they are favourite against Richmond. They 81% favourites, $1.95. Richmond's still favourites in the bookies, but I think North are favourites with the tippers, and I think there is a reason behind that. They've been pretty competitive in recent times. They did lose by 40 to Geelong. They lost by 19 to Carlton. They lost by 70 or so against Sydney. It was something like that. They beat Gold Coast and they lost to Western Bulldogs in a tight affair. But I'm going to go North by, I think, 15 or so points, which is the margin that I'll go with there. Geelong against Adelaide. I just think Geelong are a step above Adelaide at the moment. I think that Geelong are vying for that top 2 spot, honestly, at the moment. There is currently 2nd to 7th is separated by half a game and percentage, so effectively one result. And if you get that one result flip, you can easily finish 2nd, get a double chance. So I'm going to go Geelong in this game by, I think, 34 points. So there we go. Then we go Collingwood against Carlton. Scotty Pendlebury's 400th. A lot of jokes going around about him not playing at certain venues, etc. Collingwood look decimated at the moment. Their season looks over. But then again, they just string together a victory against Richmond, which is sort of expected, honestly. Richmond aren't the best this year. Carlton lose unexpectedly, I guess, to a certain extent against Port, after just scraping by against North and losing a couple prior weeks. Is this the week that kicks Carlton back into gear? Because around about this time, you're starting to think about which teams are in form. 4 games to go, because you can build up a form patch here and carry it through to the finals. That's why I'm a little bit worried about the Swans, but I think that they can kick back into gear this week potentially, or next week, and carry that through again. But I just think that I'm going to go with, in this game, Carlton-Collingwood at 7:30. The first game that's shown up on my screen at this time for the matchups. But I'm going to go Carlton in this game against Collingwood by, I think, 12 points in a classic game here. So there we go. Then we go to Port versus Sydney. This is deadlocked at the moment. 42, in the bookies odds, but Port are 42% tipped by tippers against Sydney 58. I think a lot of people just automatically tip the Swans, which I don't think it's a sure bet at the moment. They're starting to get reeled in. And I think this one's going to be a dangerous one, as I think one of my mates and another YouTuber, Riley Macker, said that the Swans haven't beaten Port in 8 years, I think it is. Or it's either 8 years at Adelaide Oval, but I think it's 8 years in general. It just feels like every single game we have them and then we lose. Like, we had them a couple of years ago, and then we lost 2 key defenders, and it's like, yep. And now we just let them back in from a 30-point margin or something like that every single time. So, and the Swans aren't in a good form at the moment. I do think Rowbottom coming back in is absolutely huge for them. I think he is the glue man in the midfield, so I think it will absolutely help them. I think that they have a good ruck matchup in this one, so I think that is a positive. But it's Port Adelaide at home. Port Adelaide are starting to get on a run again. They beat Carlton last week, which I think is the big tipper for me. They put away Richmond as they should. They did lose to Gold Coast, but that's at Gold Coast. They beat Western Bulldogs. They smoked Western Bulldogs, I should say, and they beat St Kilda. So I'm actually going to go against the Swans for, I think, like the first time this year. And I'm going to go for Port against the Swans by, I think, 7 points. And so, yeah, that's Port at home by 7 points against the Swans, which is a tough one to tip because, you know, you always want your team to win. But it's the form guide at the moment, the form guide of the matchups previously. And the fact that they're playing at Adelaide Oval, I just think Port will get over the line. I know it sucks as a Swans fan, but it is what it is. And yeah, it would be a Swans game to kick back into gear though. When the chips are down, they usually seem to stand up. We got GWS against Hawthorn. Another tough one to tip, to be honest with you. Hawthorn are in ripping form. They're playing down in Canberra. Hawthorn have won their last 3, including pretty good victories against Fremantle, Collingwood and Adelaide. Lost to Geelong, which they got smoked in, and then beat West Coast. So are they actually in that good of a form? GWS have won their last 4. They beat Carlton in a really good game. They beat Richmond. They beat Gold Coast, and they beat Melbourne as well. I'm probably just going to go with the forms. The favourite in GWS by, I think, 16 points, I think, will be the winning margin in the end. Then you have Essendon versus Fremantle. I think Freo win this one, to be honest with you, even though it's at the MCG. I'm going to pick them to win by 21 points. So yeah, that's that margin. And then we get to the final game of the round, and you've got Brisbane against, well, St Kilda against Brisbane. I'm going to go with Brisbane in this game against St Kilda. They just look like the form team in the comp. So I'm going to go Brisbane by 28 points. So those are my tips for round 21. I don't know. I'm hoping obviously for a 9 for 9, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 7 or a 6, which is usually about what I'm getting each round at the moment. But anyway, if you did enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, especially as we ramp up into the AFLW season with only 4 rounds of the AFL men's season to go. And then we jump straight into the AFL women's in that bye week between the regular season and the finals. So you'll see me, I'll probably effectively have AFLW. I mean, they follow the same scoring system, but my AFLW content, I think, will revolve around, obviously, fantasy. And then you'll sort of have the Supercoach video be the equivalent of that will be the Bolter, I think, as I'll run that this season as well. But anyway, that is the video there, and I'll catch you guys on Monday. Remember, I said that I was away this weekend, so there will be no Sunday uploads. I'll catch you guys on Monday, and you'll see I'll catch up on all those videos on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye, guys.